Let's take a look at this problem. We've got x to the third minus natural log of y to the third plus 3x equals y. And we want to find dy dx implicitly. Well, before I do that, I'm going to take this power and put it out in front of the log, use the properties of logs. So we've got x to the third minus 3 natural log of y plus 3x equals y. Now we're going to take the derivative of everything where it's sitting. So take the derivative of x to the third plus the derivative with respect to x of negative 3 natural log of y plus the derivative with respect to x of 3x equals the derivative with respect to x of y. Okay, well, the derivative of x to the third is 3x squared. The derivative of negative 3 natural log of y, well, negative 3 just stays out in front. The derivative of natural log of y is 1 over y. But since we're taking the derivative with respect to x and it's really a y, we have to throw on a y prime, dy dx. Plus, derivative of 3x is 3. And over here, the derivative of y is 1, but again, we're taking derivative with respect to x and it's really a y, so we have to throw on a y prime. So we're going to have 3x squared minus 3 over y prime, plus 3 is equal to y prime. Now, we want to get y prime by itself. And our first step is to get rid of parentheses, which we don't have any. Second step is to get rid of fractions. We're going to multiply everything by the LCM of all our denominators. We only have one denominator, the y, so we're going to multiply everything by y. We'll take y times 3x squared minus y times 3 over y prime plus y times 3 equals y times y prime. So that gives us 3x squared y. Here the y's cancel, so we've got minus 3y prime plus 3y is equal to y prime. Let me double check that for a minute. 3x squared y minus 3y prime plus 3y prime. Okay. Now we want to get everything with y prime on one side, everything else on the other side. So I'll take the negative 3y prime to the right side. So we got 3x squared y plus 3y equals y prime plus 3y prime. When you take anything across for equals, remember your sign changes. Then we want to factor out a y prime. So over here we'll factor out a y prime, and that gives us y plus 3. And then our fifth step is to divide both sides by what's in front or back of our y prime. Nothing in front of it, but there's y plus 3 after it. So we'll divide both sides by y plus 3. Okay, just about there. Now here these y plus 3's cancel, and we end up with y prime is equal to 3x squared y plus 3y over y plus 3. Now I can factor out GCF up on top, but it wouldn't do me much good in this problem, so that's our answer.